My name's Amina, and I will be talking to you guys about why I think cigarettes should be illegal. Growing up, I know my dad to be a smoker. He smoked pretty much his entire life up until about a month ago. My mom would always tell us to never smoke or she'd kill us, and that's something we also learned in school, is that smoking can lead to things like lung cancer or even other complications. I believe they should be illegal just because it's considered to be a drug, just like anything else that's out there. Due to their hazardous makeup, cigarettes and their smoke has a multitude of effects on the smoker as well as people in their vicinity, also the environment. First off, nicotine isn't the only substance that is found in cigarettes. According to compound interest, there are 7,360 chemicals found, and 70 of them are known to be carcinogenic. According to American Cancer Society, carcinogens are substances or exposure that can lead to cancer, even though they don't always. Of course, it is unethical to test if something can lead to cancer or not, which is why scientists have done things like lab studies that involve animals and cell cultures to figure out if it is leading to cancer or not. First, nicotine is one of the major components of cigarettes, but is non-carcinogenic. It is part of the alkaloid family, which is the same family that caffeine is a part of. And when you smoke, when you inhale the smoke, it gets absorbed into your bloodstream and then it gets transferred to your brain. Once it gets to the brain, it stimulates neurotransmitters and it mimics the neurotransmitter ACH. And what it does is it will attach itself to the same neurotransmitters and receptors that ACH would attach to, which in the result produces dopamine, and this causes the addiction to smoking. Even though nicotine isn't that harmful for you and it itself doesn't lead to cancer, there is a lot of stuff that is harmful for you. One of them would be nitrosamines. There are nitrogen-containing substances, and a large amount of them have been shown to lead to DNA mutation in humans. A second one would be benzene. It is formed by forest fires and volcanic eruptions, and in the United States, it is proven that 50% of exposures do come from cigarettes. They are proven to be carcinogenic in humans and animal studies, and it also has shown that it does create changes into the chromosomes that is found in the bone marrow. Formaldehyde and acetaldehyde, they're both known to be carcinogenic. Formaldehyde is known to be carcinogenic to humans, while acetaldehyde is possibly to humans, but it's known to be a carcinogen to animals. They are the most abundant carcinogens in tobacco, and they can cause things like irritation to the skin, the eyes, your throat, your mucous membranes, and even your respiratory tract. When we think about smoking, we usually just think about the smoker, but it also has a lot of effects on people that are around them, like their loved ones or their family, or even just people out in everyday life. For the smoker, it does cause lung cancer, there's a chance of that, but it does also cause other diseases. It can cause respiratory diseases, and that's caused by the damaging of the airways and the little air sacs that are inside of the lungs. It can cause things like COPD, emphysema, and even asthma. When I was a kid, my dad would constantly wheeze when he was breathing, and it kind of sounded like he had something stuck in his throat and his lungs, and he did get diagnosed with asthma, and that is because he's been smoking for over 30 years of his life. It does also have cardiovascular effects on people. It can lead to stroke, high blood pressure, and even heart attacks. It damages your blood vessels because your blood vessels narrow, and that makes it hard for the blood to kind of push through the veins. It increases your heart rate as well as your blood pressure, just because since your veins are so narrow, your blood has to work 2 times as fast just to get the blood pumped through those narrow veins, which in turn raises kind of your heart rate and your blood pressure. Narrow veins also cause an increase for the chance of stroke, because it's a lot easier for a clot to block off a narrow vein than it is a normal sized vein. And there really is no risk-free exposure to smoke or secondhand smoke. Since 1964, for the Surgeon General's report, about 2.5 million adults who were non-smokers have died due to cigarette smoke, according to the CDC. In children, it can cause things like asthma attacks, respiratory infections, ear infections, and sudden infant death syndrome. Sudden infant death syndrome is the sudden or unexplained death of a child who's in the first year of their life, and it's normally in kids that are seemingly healthy. For adults, the effects are very similar to those who smoke. It can cause stroke, coronary artery disease, and even heart attacks. It interferes with the normal functions of the heart, the blood, and the vascular systems. Even brief exposure can cause damage to the lining of blood vessels, and it can cause the platelets in the blood to get sticky, which in return leads to heart attacks. Not only does smoking affect the person that is smoking and the people around them, it also has a pretty big effect on the environment. Since cigarettes are usually grown in like rainforest type areas, those areas the trees have to be cut down, which leads to deforestation. That way there can be enough room for the tobacco to grow. And the countries that burn a lot of the wood that is needed for tobacco, it also generates a lot of toxic waste in the air, and it can lead to things like harmful chemical pesticides and fertilizers. And the most common one that's used is alicarb, and it's very toxic to humans, plants, and animals, and if it makes its way into soil and waterways, it can be toxic and damaging for everything that's around it. Especially like fish and sea life, they have been affected greatly. If a cigarette does make it into the water, a fish sometimes does mistake it for food, and once it gets into their stomach, it gets stuck there, they can't pass it. It affects their eating habits, and eventually it can lead to the death of the aquatic animal. So if cigarettes became illegal, not only would it benefit us and people around us, it would make our quality of life a lot better. People would probably be living a lot longer, less diseases, but also the environment would be a lot better. There would be trees growing where they should be, which causes more oxygen and better air. And then, of course, the fish and everything that's in the ocean and waters would be alive. All right, thank you guys so much for listening.